An ordinance amending sections 6301 and 6503 of the Philadelphia Code, respectively, food establishments and licenses and permits, to revise licensing requirements relating to food establishments, including requirements relating to restroom facilities, service, and seating.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm just so excited about this bill that's being introduced today, and I wanted to give just a little bit of background about the bill. And this is primarily a bill to deal with nuisance businesses that we know as Stop-n-Gos in our neighborhoods. And I want to thank you for all of the work that you've done on this issue and for being so supportive on this particular matter. In the beginning, there was, when you had a deli in your neighborhood, a deli was a deli and a bar was a bar. And they were two completely separate establishments. They were local and they served food in a neighborhood, and many were sit-down restaurants. Yesterday I was at 26th and Allegheny, my neighborhood where I grew up, and my mind wandered to Markel's Deli, which was right down the street at 25th and Allegheny. They had, it was a deli, they had booths to sit down and eat, they had counter service, and it was real food. You could sit down, you could take out, and it wasn't alone. There were other establishments like Ida's, remember Ida's in North Philly? And then there were white tablecloth restaurants in North Philadelphia, like Fisher's on North Broad Street, which was around where Temple Medical is now. I remember my mother took me there for my 16th birthday, and when you eat something really good, you remember it for forever. I still remember the soup. The bill stretched her budget, and it was a rare treat for us, but these were amenities that were in our neighborhoods. Somewhere along the way, things changed. Most of our sit-down restaurants closed, and local spots that served cheesesteaks and hoagies and some of the best in the city were all of a sudden no longer in business. But what did come, they didn't close completely, was that even though it would say deli on the outside, advertising those same cheesesteaks, hoagies, and seafood, but actually serving no food. Flagrantly disregarding city violations. Again, no food. The food that was served was a break with the spirit of the law as intended. Oodles and noodles just doesn't cut it. No bathrooms available to customers, which is the law. Tables and chairs for 30 was out of the question. They were a haven, or are a haven, for loitering. And allegedly, other nuisance activity happens, including the sale of loosies, allegedly public urination and defecation, and possibly other items sold by the proprietor or others. Today with this bill, we start the process to change that. Currently, with Stop-n-Gos in my neighborhood, they're mostly in poor neighborhoods, mostly in the hood as we know it. Most of these establishments sell beer, some sell liquor. I can buy a shot, and my 8-year-old daughter can also buy a bag of potato chips at the same time. And there's a reason why we don't allow children in bars, but somehow this has been allowed and accepted in Stop-n-Gos. I have more Stop-n-Gos in my district than I have public schools, and something is really, really wrong with what is happening here. I also want to take a moment and thank Councilwoman Janie Blackwell, who coined the term Stop-n-Go many moons ago and has been a fighter against nuisance businesses, and we wouldn't be here with this bill without her as well. So many thanks to Councilwoman Blackwell. But again, today we start to change the process. This bill, I believe, is a game changer. And I want to join with Councilwoman Blackwell, Council President Clark, and all members of council who are in support of this bill. Special thanks to the City Law Department, L&I, Health, and the Police Department for making this happen. It actually came together about a year ago. We did a tour with Health Commissioner Farley, L&I Commissioner Perry, then Fire Commissioner Sawyer, and Liquor Control Board and enforcement officers. They were astonished at what they saw. This bill will revise licensing requirements to food establishments related to restroom facilities, service, and seating to ensure that we don't have these makeshift bars that serve liquor to vulnerable populations from, in some cases, from 9 a.m. until 2 a.m. every single day. And as an aside, we hear a lot every day about the opioid and heroin crisis, and this is another legal self-medication that folks are doing, and this issue deserves a lot of attention as well. This bill restores dignity to providing food and food service to our communities. It requires that either establishments be defined as a large or small establishment. Large establishments are required to have 2 restroom facilities, no more bathrooms that cut through kitchens, which are real gems if you've ever seen one of those. Large establishments must remove physical barriers, also known as the plexiglass, the prison-style service that many of these establishments have. Food, and in the cases where they do serve food, without dignity. Readily available and accessible tables and chairs. No more fold-up chairs pushed together in a corner, no tables to be seen. And specific square footage requirements which must be adhered to. I look forward to working with all of the departments to ensure that enforcement is actual and that it happens. I'm so very hopeful on this issue because I always tell folks you don't have to have things in your neighborhood that you don't want to have. And on this issue, I think that the community, my colleagues, we're all the way in. We're all ready to put together our hands, roll up our sleeves, and do the work that is necessary to make these establishments the acceptable food establishments that we deserve in our communities. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman, and thank you for your continued awesome work on this very, very important issue.
Thank you.
Look forward to casting an affirmative vote on the bill.